welcome to Newsfeed, your daily dose of what people are talking about online, from news stories to what's trending. Now, TikTok is one of the world's biggest social media platforms. It has more than 1 billion monthly active users. 1 in 3 Americans use TikTok, but that statistic could soon change. The U.S. Congress is working on a bill that would essentially ban the platform. Many U.S. states have already passed legislation banning the app from government phones. The White House has done the same, and federal employees have less than a month to delete TikTok from their government-issued handsets. Sare has more.
A favorite for the younger generation, but a worry for governments. TikTok is facing increasing scrutiny in the West over whether it's a risk to national security.
We've been very clear that TikTok, poses a problem and an issue. And so we have concerns about that as it relates to Americans' data, collecting Americans' data, and the potential national security risk.
The U.S. has long been suspicious of TikTok. While former President Donald Trump may have been unsuccessful in his attempts to ban the app in 2020, it looks like the administration of his successor, Joe Biden, may achieve just that.
The 20-page bill would basically prohibit anyone in the United States from engaging in any transaction with a person or entity that knowingly provides or transfers sensitive personal data directly or indirectly to China. The bill also gives the president the authority to impose sanctions on those in China who attempt to operate that type of data collecting software here in the United States. Now, we have been through this before.
Earlier this year, more than half the U.S. states introduced legislation to ban TikTok on government devices. Sharing similar concerns, its neighbor Canada enacted similar rules at the end of February. And across the pond, the EU scrapped the app from staff phones in all 3 of its main institutions. The West is not alone in its efforts to outlaw TikTok and what many see as Chinese influence. Previously, India and Taiwan had banned the app, citing cybersecurity concerns. And in Afghanistan, the Taliban blocked the platform to prevent young people from being misled. Beijing's response to all of this?
How unsure of itself can the US be to fear a young people's favorite app to such a degree? The US has been overstretching the concept of national security and abusing state power to suppress other countries' companies.
While China's denial may be predictable, concerns about data security at TikTok aren't unfounded. The app collects an extensive amount of information from its users. Personal details, approximate location, IP addresses and device type, what the user does while they're on the app, and information on linked social media accounts are all standard data most platforms get from their users. What's concerning about TikTok's case is that depending on the permissions given, it can access your exact location and data from other apps on your phone, such as messages and whatever you've copied on your clipboard. Beijing-based parent company ByteDance is obliged to hand over any personal data connected to national security to Chinese authorities. Meanwhile, officials in Washington have been investigating the extent to which ByteDance cooperates with Beijing. And last year, a TikTok executive had to address concerns on the Senate floor.
We do have employees based in China. We also have very strict access controls around the type of data that they can access and where that data is stored, which is here in the United States. And we've also said under no circumstances would we give that data to China.
Despite what their politicians might think, avid TikTokers in America want the app to stay.
Let me share my information with China if I want to. I literally could care less.
While some believe this isn't simply about their security.
The US is simply trying to block its biggest competitor. TikTok has transformed how the world consumes social media and is now more popular than both Facebook and Instagram. The average user spends 29 minutes a day on Instagram, but TikTok users spend it over 90 minutes a day on the app.
While the fate of America's most popular social media app is still uncertain, a potential ban would have lasting implications on both popular culture and already strained relations between Washington and Beijing.
As China and its tech companies like TikTok face mounting pressure abroad, things aren't so rosy for internet firms at home either. The former darlings of President Xi Jinping's government now seem to be losing influence in Beijing. China's rubber stamp parliament, the National People's Congress, opened on Sunday without the usual tech bosses. Only junior staff from Tencent, NetEase, and search engine Sogou are attending. Rupert has more.
For decades, Chinese technology companies benefited from a laissez-faire approach. But starting in 2020, the government began to rein in the platform economy. Tech companies like e-commerce giant Alibaba or ride-hailing app Didi were slapped with regulatory curbs. This was partly political. The central government, under its powerful leader Xi Jinping, wanted to clip the wings of powerful executives who posed a threat to its dominance. There was also an ideological rationale. Xi has steered China in an increasingly socialist direction, which seeks to mitigate inequality and curb capitalist excesses under the banner of common prosperity. China seems to be dialing back its regulatory measures now, though. The economy suffered severely from COVID restrictions, which were ended recently, but there'll be no return to the status quo. China now has in place an array of new regulations, which are here to stay. And while China has curbed the digital economy, it's seeking to boost other parts of the tech sector, like artificial intelligence and semiconductors, where it's competing with the United States.
Stop using ChatGPT. Use this instead. It's called Cactus AI.
I just found this new AI called Adept.ai.
Instead, try using Mindgraph.
But I found something even better. So this tool is called Chat Sonic.
Number 1 is Writer. Number 2 is Twain. Number 3 is Writer. Number 4 is ChatSonic. Number 5 is Marmoth.
So if you've been scrolling through social media lately, chances are you've come across one of those videos about a new AI company that's taken the internet by storm. It all started a few months ago when ChatGPT, the language model developed by OpenAI, started making headlines. Since then, everyone from tech giants like Microsoft and Google to small, relatively unknown companies have been jumping on the AI train. Snapchat even announced that it will be incorporating ChatGPT into the app. And as more and more companies invest in AI, shares are skyrocketing. So is this AI craze getting out of hand? Well, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission seems to think so. It's issued a warning to companies to be careful not to make false promises or exaggerate the capabilities of their technology. Some firms might even be claiming to use AI when they're not really using it at all. It's an AI arms race out there, and the FTC is urging caution to avoid disappointment and false advertising. All right, on to what's trending. Well, by now, you've probably heard of the viral TikTok trends related to work. The Great Resignation, quiet quitting, and rage applying. And now there's a new one called Bare Minimum Monday. The trend has taken the internet by storm after being started by this TikToker, Marissa Joe.
I started doing this thing last year called Bare Minimum Monday, where I only hold myself accountable to doing the bare minimum work tasks every Monday. And then the rest of the day I can do whatever I want. But some days even the bare minimum tasks can be quite a lot. So here's how I still kind of lean into Bare Minimum Monday when I do have kind of a lot to do. For the tasks that you do have to do, make sure you are monotasking every single one. You might think multitasking is the way, but it is a one-way ticket to overwhelm and having everything take longer.
He begged me to stay. Babe, I'm not staying, I just wanna play. In the party, you just wanna romp. Big boots in the bus, they pump.
So Bare Minimum Monday follows what many people are calling the Sunday scaries. That's when your weekends are capped off with dread as Monday approaches. But what these TikTokers say is that if you practice Bare Minimum Monday, your Sundays will no longer be filled with existential dread. It's seen as a burnout prevention strategy. Do the least amount of work possible to get through the most dreaded day of the week. Maybe I'll give it a go next week. All right, you may have seen people gawking at their own faces in disbelief on TikTok lately, but these aren't your average selfies. They're the result of a new, seriously impressive face filter called Bold Glamour. Users are stunned at how believable it is, and some even find it downright terrifying. The hype is definitely justified. Now, this filter is next level. One thing that sets Bold Glamour apart is how well it moves with your face. And unlike other filters, it doesn't warp or distort when you put your hand in front of your face. But as these types of AI-powered tools become more accessible to creators, there's a growing concern about how they might impact our perception of reality. Body dysmorphia is a real risk when we're constantly being bombarded with images that aren't even real.
This filter has been used over 2 million times.
It's crazy. I don't look anything like this, but the filter itself looks natural, like there's some skin texture there. I've seen other people use it and then do like a big reveal. I don't want to say this about myself, but I actually look ugly when I take this filter off. I've done a lot of work to unlearn that I owe prettiness to anyone. I don't think my brain knows how to deal with looking like this 1 minute and then this the next. So here's a reminder for anyone who needs it. Filtered skin is not a skin type. And we're already the perfect edit.
Wow, that filter is insane. Now, if you think of fashion shows, you probably imagine perfectly polished models strutting down the runway. Well, think again. The mastermind behind Avavav, the fashion brand that's been shaking up the industry, is B.T. Carlson. And she's been making waves with her viral runway shows that have an unexpected twist. This year's Milan Fashion Week was no different, as Carlson presented her latest collection titled Fake It Till You Break It, where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Bags broke, heels snapped, clothes fell apart, and dresses were ripped off mid-walk. But here's the thing, it was all part of the act. The comical and dramatic show quickly went viral on social media, and for good reason. It was a statement on the fast fashion industry and how it's built on a culture of disposability and superficiality. And if that wasn't enough, Carlson herself took center stage for the grand finale, and she came out to take her bow. The wall behind her came crashing down. A perfect theatrical end, isn't it? And that's our show. Find us on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. Bye, and see you same time tomorrow.